SharkNation. Welcome to another episode of the SharkPod. Today we've got a very special guest live. This is actually the first guest that we've had live from Mykonos, Greece. Lisa Quinlan, how are you getting on?
Hi guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to have you.
Yeah, Mark Baker's out there in kind of dreary Greystones today. It's kind of windy, there's not, I'd say Mykonos would be a little bit nicer, I would imagine.
It's not worth commenting on, basically. One of those days.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Okay. So Lisa, you're the business owner of the Rolling Donut, as well as the Wildflower Cafe. So we're going to have a chat about that today. So thanks very much for joining us. So right now, to give context, we were actually talking about this just before we kicked off today. We were talking about the context of these times for these types of businesses that are like kind of public facing. When I say public facing, with you can just walk into these businesses. You have to interact with people, and because of the COVID stuff, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But also, restrictions based on, the whims of people who, are guaranteed their income is kind of impacting these guys, right? So, with the uncertainty and everything like that, how's business?
Surprisingly good. We've just managed to kind of adapt and survive over the last 8 months. It was really difficult when things all completely shut down because, everything I've worked for the last 10 years just disappeared overnight. So that was pretty tricky. But then we just shifted everything to online, which was amazing. So we went from getting maybe 30 orders, 40 orders a week to over 100 every day. So I found myself back as van driver, then baker, just everyone has to just jump on in again and try and survive. So that's what thankfully kept us going. And then when the shops were able to reopen, we just got lovely little hatches made at the door so people could still come up. And yeah, so it's really interesting looking back that, we survived.
You know what? I think it's the story of the pandemic is the agility of the entrepreneurs in society, that they have to make it do something. Everyone that we've talked to has had to change their way of doing things. So it's really, really interesting. And sometimes, obviously it's been very hard, but sometimes there's opportunities that people hadn't seen. I know we talked to Connor Sheridan. He said that he's looking into, those cloud kitchens. I think that's what he called them. Where there's no actual storefront. He's just doing deliveries in different areas in Dublin. So he would have never thought about that. So there's kind of ups and downs there. But when this happened, just out of interest, when this started, I guess I remember for me, this really kind of kicked in March, when I started to get a little bit scared about, I think I said this on the podcast before, but my wife had ordered, some furniture that the day that all of the schools were closing down, and Leo Varadkar came on and he was like, we're going to get through this. Then I was like, okay, cancel everything. I might not have a job on Wednesday, the next day. But for you, did you kind of see this coming before the kind of lockdown? Did anyone give you a heads up or any kind of?
No, absolutely not. It was honestly just bananas. I was just going to shut everything down. It was actually my general manager. He's amazing. He's kind of my sounding board for everything. We just, I was freaked out because I had cousins working in nursing homes and kind of hospitals telling me one side of it. So I was just freaked out, but then Kia and myself kind of playing devil's advocate. We're just look, we just have to try and stay open. We have to try and do anything we can. And actually it was the best thing we ever did, because that our online thing took off, and now that's busier than ever because people know that exists, whereas they didn't really before.
Absolutely.
So I was never so grateful to have spent time building a website.
Yeah.
It took years to kind of perfect, but at that moment I was like, okay, all those years I, tried to become a techie and learn how to create a nice WordPress, WooCommerce kind of e-commerce website. I was very grateful for doing that. Otherwise we would have had to completely shut everything and
start from scratch.
There goes my pay, no salary, nothing so.
And at the time, what was the kind of size of the organization? How many locations were you at? I used to live in kind of just near the Quays there. So Bachelor's Walk one was my kind of local one. So I used to kind of lying there, or
Yeah,
at lunch or whatever. So,
very good.
so where's the where was the business
So
at kind of pre-COVID?
so we had 7 shops. We
Wow.
were due to open our 8th, which I told you had earlier. We had a lovely newly fitted kiosk in Whitewater Shopping Centre in Nace. It was due to open Paddy's Day, and then I couldn't see it till June, so that was really hard. So that would have been our 8th, but unfortunately, during lockdown, we made the decision to pull out of Arnott's, which was a very good decision based on what's happened now with town. It's just gone. Like
It's
our city
crazy.
centre is just tumbleweeds. Like that shop that you just mentioned there, Bachelor's Walk, that would have been our busiest store,
Yeah,
which is now bottom of the list, which is unbelievable to me. Like I never would have thought,
there was
I
queues
couldn't have
in there all the
imagined
time when
that.
I was there. Do you know? Like
Yeah, it's just
that's
this,
what I
like
remember.
there's so many, like just all the tourists, and there's such a mixed kind of bag of people around that area. And now there's just minimal kind of in town now.
Because I've only been in town a couple of times since March, really. Well, probably three or four times, and the most recent one was the most surreal. I've been in to my wife's having a baby, so we were in like the kind of Hollis Street area a couple of times, but that's never really buzzing anyway, do that kind of way. So
Yeah,
kind of
true.
not really a good kind of microcosm. But then I went to there's a new restaurant. I think it just opened just around this time as well. The Crew restaurant out near, it's in Dublin 1 as well. It's on Cable Street. It's like a Cajun restaurant.
Yeah, a friend of mine owns it, Luke.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I don't know if he owned it, but okay, cool. That's great.
yeah.
Maybe
Conor McCron, yeah.
can we get Connor on here because his mac and
I
cheese
know
is
Connor
delicious.
actually as well.
Do you know Conor? I've asked Conor on, so Conor, here we're calling you out. You got to come on.
Yeah,
He's too
Yeah,
nervous.
is he? Come on, Connor, get it together.
get it together. Okay, so it was delicious, but I remember I was out there with my wife, and it was, when I say ghost town, it was eerily quiet. It was like some sort of zombie apocalypse where there's you wake up and no one is there except for like people that you probably wouldn't have seen generally. So it just looks like everyone is kind of maybe down on their luck and stuff. They're the only people there anymore. So it's just a bizarre world that we're living in. Hopefully things will turn around at some stage. I think that they will, but just
The interesting thing is, though, that we have noticed, so city centre is way down, but what's picked up the slack now is all our shopping centres. So it's all gone to the suburbs. So the centres are way up this year in sales, and then town is down. So it's actually somewhat levelled off.
oh
So
my God,
we're not actually all that much down, if you know what I mean. So it's great.
unreal. So you've got the
Yeah.
online stuff going. You've got the kind of the ones that weren't the main ones are now the ones that people are going to because no one wants to go get on the dart to go into town, all that type of stuff. Maybe they're just going to like is the one in Kildare Village still there?
Kildare Village has been our saviour this
Yeah.
year. People I think it's just the kind of outdoorsy feel to the place. They feel a lot safer, it seems.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been great, and it's hard to believe like that's just a little mobile. We don't even have running water, and it's great, like great little unit. So.
But the good thing about donuts, it's like people are kind of used to buying them at kind of kiosks. You don't necessarily have to go in and sit down. So that's the original. Bring us back to the very start, actually, Lisa.
Yeah.
If you can.
The little donut kiosk where you're going to
Yeah.
mention there. I think everybody knows it. It's like a Dublin landmark at this stage. Yeah. So my dad, I basically saw an idea of like he was over in the Camden market, I think years ago, like 40 years ago in London, and he saw a guy just making donuts, and he was like, I can do this. And it was kind of recession times. He was kind of dabbling in a bit of property, and he just said, I'm going to try it, and came back and found that little place. And it really is such a unique like kiosk. Like there's nowhere we've tried to find something else like it in Ireland, and it just can't be replicated. Like just whatever about that street and where it is, it's the country's kind of main street, and everybody knows it. So.
I wonder how many people are listening to this, or how many people in Dublin know that place. I'd say there's 1 million people in Dublin. I'd say more than 500,000 people know exactly what we would be talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's like the iconic one, and like you can smell the donuts being cooked around there, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Funny
yeah.
you say that, because when I was in Australia, this is kind of where, my whole kind of creativity for coming home and doing something with the family business started. And I was just sharing a house with a load of different Irish, and overnight somebody in Dublin had set up a Facebook page saying the tiny little donut place in O'Connell Street, and it just blew up within like a week. Thousands and thousands of people had liked this, and some randomer just set it up. So when I got back from traveling, that's when I was like, right, I really want to kind of jump in and try and do something with this. I had all these ideas from Australia with the kind of brunch trends and just following donut trends for years. And I had actually contacted the person and asked them, could I take the page, because I wanted to tell my dad, like, look, you really have to give this kiosk a name, because people can't contact us. They have no idea how to get in touch if they want them at their wedding, or which a lot of people do nowadays. They get donut walls and things like that. So he reluctantly let me use the name that he used to do at concerts and festivals around the country. He used to call it the Rolling Donut because he did it in mobiles. But he was really reluctant because it kind of reminded him of kind of hard times of, like, just grafting and trying to put food on the table. So I was like, no, like, we have to do this. This is your history. And then that's where the whole thing got off. I just branded the kiosk and then kind of had a couple of projects going at the same time. Wildflower opportunity came up, and then opened Rolling Down at the first one. That didn't work. I wasn't there to manage it.
Where's the first one?
What's that?
Where was the first one?
The first one was on Ainger Street. So
Really?
it was a really cheap rent at the time. It was all we could kind of afford. And there was a student market right across the road. So I kind of tried to do deli and donuts. I think my whole learning from that experience is, like, if you're going to do one thing, do it right and focus on it. Like, because sometimes when you do too many things, nothing works,
Okay.
So after that kind of didn't really work, that's when I said, right, I have to put my full energy into doing, the broad range of donuts, the yeast donuts, the kind of American style donuts as people would know them. And yeah, that's when it all kind of kicked off. So
cool.
And for your career, Lisa, when you were in school or finishing up in school, I'm not sure if you went to college or anything, but what were you thinking of?
He's an IIDT alum like myself, so I'll have
Okay.
Yeah. So
very
there's been a
cool.
few
Sorry,
of
I
us.
didn't know.
We kind of pop up now and then, like, Anyway, sorry, go on, Mark.
Yeah, I was an IIDT.
What were you thinking? What route were you looking to take? Did you have different ideas? Because you grew up in an entrepreneurial family, was that always on the cards for you?
Yeah, I think it was. Like, I'm moving house, and I've been trying to pack everything up, and I found like a little project that I did, and I kind of drew a picture of my dad's little mobile and like the Rolling Down, and I think I just always knew I'd do something, but it was it's hard to kind of find your own kind of, just like to pinpoint it. Like, I knew it was going to be donuts, but I didn't know kind of to the level, I suppose, that I couldn't have really imagined that it would I'd have this many shops or whatever, and hopefully many more. It's just, yeah, my dad, I suppose he kind of ingrained me and my sister. That was kind of, I just had that work ethic, so I didn't mind getting out there and grafting. And I think once you're out there, kind of doors pop open and opportunities come up, and that's exactly what happened.
Very good. Was there any company that you kind of wanted to replicate in a different country? Did you look much at the US market or UK markets or anything?
Big time, yeah. There was a company called Donut Vault in Chicago, and I was obsessed with them. They had this kind of, like, it literally is a vault. It's so cool, and people queue up around the corner. You can't really go in, so kind of reminded me of my dad's little kiosk. But then they were doing the big yeast style donuts, and I was following them for years. And other places then kind of popped up after I left Australia, like really cool kind of brands, so yeah.
And did you actively travel looking for those, or were you just traveling yourself, and then you see different things as you're going along?
Absolutely. With Australia, I definitely think the brunch thing is where I feel like I brought that theme to the cafe, and just French toast, eggs, Benny, when it was maybe not that popular, only becoming a thing in kind of Ireland. But I suppose for Rolling Donut, yeah, Australia had an amazing crowd. So I was not Australia, the UK has some really good donut shops as well. So yeah, I would have went on many trips to the UK and come back with boxes of donuts.
Nice.
I think
Literally like carrying them on the train.
I think
Krispy
it's my
Kreme across town. Yeah, all of them. Right.
it might be kind of a overlooked thing when people are doing like idea generation or something like that. Like when I was traveling as well, I'd see things and I'd be like, wow, this could really work in Ireland. Or,
Yeah.
there's so much out there that you kind of try to apply. Like when I was in Vancouver, the eggs Benny thing is big there. That's the kind of brunch vibe. And I'm like, someone should do this in Ireland. Then I came back and it was everywhere. Anyway, so I missed the point on that. But I think it's kind of an underrated thing. How long were you in Australia for?
Was traveling for nearly 2 years, so
Yeah.
I did all my time fruit picking. I think I did more time. I think I did like 6 months of fruit picking. Like, who does that? Like, it's just the money was so good, and I didn't even use the second year for that. And I lived in Australia, New Zealand, and did Fiji and everywhere.
Wow.
The usual circuit that we all did when we kind of didn't know what we were going to do between kind of college and school and
All that type of stuff. I was the same when I went away for about 2 years as well in kind of different places, and like I think when you do that as well, you're kind of energized to do something when you come home. You're kind of like, okay, that's something I can just put in a box for now. I know that you're in Mykonos, but I mean, traveling long term, you can kind of put that aside. But I think everybody should give it a go. I know Mark has never hit the road, but maybe
No.
take the kids, put the kids and the wife in the in the Jeep there and hit the road.
Yeah, I think I'll be doing it in my 40s when I'm or 50s when I'm opening whatever business it is then that I get an idea for. But just to go back to the actual type of donuts, and you mentioned a few different type of donuts. I'm always interested. What are the main kind of type? I don't think people know. They know what they like, but they actually don't know what it's called.
So my dad's ones are they're cake donuts. So they're just kind of cooked really quickly, cooked within 2 minutes, and that's why you can eat them warm, and everybody loves them. Everybody prefers his. But when I had the shop in Angel Street, I had all the kids from like the flats coming in and going, "Where's your Boston cream? Where's your jam?" And like, so I just said, right, I have to broaden the range, and we couldn't do it in the kiosk. It just would never happen. So that's when I got a big bakery in near Park West in Dublin, and that's the yeast donuts, kind of the new modern rolling donut, shall we call it. They have to be made, they have to be proved, and they take a much longer process. Like our bakers, it's 24-hour bakery now.
Really?
So
And is that kind of like, do you have like a baker partner to help you do this, or is this some part
No,
of
we
the
do
operation?
everything in house.
Yeah.
I had a really small bakery when I found basically the shop in Bachelor's Walk, and I'll never forget it. I found the shop, but I didn't even have a bakery. It was ridiculous. I probably couldn't have done anything. Like, it's like how not to set up a business. I did it. Like, it's just I got that opportunity at that shop, and I'd had my eye on it for years. Like, that location I knew would be a great little spot for a donut shop. So I found a bakery, but it was up the stairs. It was an absolute nightmare. So within 2 months of moving into that bakery upstairs, I had to move everything back out, and like baking equipment is really heavy, so it was not a fun experience to get like literally a ton weight BDM machine down the stairs, and it was just crazy. But I found the most perfect bakery, and we've been there the last 4 years, and we've just grown into it. Like, it's great. It's really big and really high spec, so it's great.
It's great that you have your own bakery there, because I remember I think I mentioned beforehand, we were talking to Dominique Kemp before of the Itza brands, and she had a great story about some Puerto Rican guy in New York. Remember, Mark, that there was like some sort of gangster there or something, and he had kind of like she had to buy all of her bagels directly from him, and then it was but it was all this kind of drama around it. But then afterwards, when she got onto her own kind of baking as well, it really helped. Then we've had a lot of baking based businesses, Mark. What do you think? We had Garrett Flour on as well from Crust.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I know Gareth well. He actually moved into Angel Street when I was there, so we got to know each other that way. Yeah, he's doing some good stuff these days.
Yeah, we had him on a couple of weeks ago now, but it'll be coming out this Wednesday, which is strange. We got to figure that out, Mark. We've got a bit of a backlog. But yeah, no, shout out to Jared. It was a great one as well. Okay, cool. So when you're me and Mark and I was trying to think about this when we're talking to entrepreneurs, and we're trying to say, okay, you've got now you've got two locations. You've got the one that's working. So Danger Street ones, it goes, and then you get the one in Bachelor's Walk. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And when do you say, okay, let's bring this to Liffey Valley. Let's bring this to,
Oh, I'm
is
sure
it a
everybody's
mathematical thing, or is it just opportunities that you see come up? Do you know?
Well, I suppose I had another little thing that was kind of a fuel to my fire. I'm sure it's no secret that there was kind of a bit of a donut boom like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was literally just a race to get them. So as soon as the second location was kind of our flagship store, the top of Grafton Street, beside Stephen's Green, and I was going for that, and everybody was like, "You're mad! Like, it's just too risky, too big. It's 3 floors. It's like over 100K rent a year. The rates."
Oh my God.
But I just
A lot of donuts.
I knew that there was enough footfall there for it to be successful, and thankfully it paid off. Like, it's one of our busiest stores now, so it's great.
Wow.
And so after that, I was like, right now it's time to target the centres. So yeah, then it was Liffey Valley, Swords, Whitewater, and you're always competing with the other companies out there to try and get in. And sometimes it might just be the decision maker in those centres prefers one type of donut.
It comes down to that.
It literally comes down to that, like. So
But,
yeah.
and is it the competitors? Is there any kind of big like UK companies or anything that are running it, or is it quite similar businesses to you, kind of small business?
Yeah, I suppose Offbeat would be kind of our main Irish competitor. They're doing a really good job, and I always think competition is so important. It gives people something to talk about, like Pepsi, Coke, which you prefer, or different types of coffee, or it kind of creates a bit of a buzz. And obviously it was a huge thing when Krispy Kreme came to Ireland, and the queues, and like, we have never been so busy off the back of their PR. It was insane. Like, we couldn't understand why we were so busy, and it was because they had opened. We were getting a kickback off it, so it was great.
People are getting in the mood for donuts, and they don't want to queue, or they don't want to go all the way to Blanchardstown.
And I don't want to be a hater here, but Krispy Kremes are not my favorite. So just
no, mine either. They just dissolve in your mouth. There's so much sugar in them, like, so it wouldn't be my cup of tea either.
So I was born in Canada, lived there for 9 years altogether. So there's a lot of those types of Krispy Kremes, but the big one over there is Tim Hortons, which is like, most people don't like that because it's, again, a lot of the sugary stuff. But because I grew up on that, I'm like, when I get off the plane in Canada, I can't. I'm gonna make a beeline for this. And Mark's a big fan of Timbits as well, which is, you can buy a box of 18 of them. They're like the little box. Actually, they're kind of like the ones that your dad does. They're kind of like little
small little
donut things. Are the little ones, like the middle bits almost. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that it's kind of gone all online now, or not all online, but online is really coming up. Who's the customers there? Is it people that are just trying to send gifts, or are people ordering them for their house just to have them in, like for their cup of tea? Or what do you think the profile of the people who are buying online are?
So a huge part of it during lockdown was we do like branded donuts. So it would say like happy birthday, thank you, it's a boy, it's a girl, like, I mean, anything you want on the donuts you can get. So that just blew up. Like, people wanted to give a little treat to their their family they couldn't see, or say happy birthday. And then I suppose a huge thing is office people work from home. I could not believe the amount of companies that were like, okay, 100 staff working from home, can we send a box of 6 to each of them? So that's why we were so flat out doing deliveries, like, and then like even Woody's yesterday put an order in, like, to every one of their stores all over Ireland for all their staff. So that, like, they're amazing ones to get. And I have a full-time girl in a marketing role, and she kind of she would target corporate clients, because that's a huge opportunity there for us as well.
The B2B donut business. It would never. That's when we were talking about this. I never thought that we'd be kind of going down that route, but that makes complete sense because
Yeah.
how do you? This is the thing. Everyone's stuck at home. Well, maybe not in the Woody's scenario, but like office workers, like you mentioned, like me. I was saying to Mark, I think in our last podcast that, like because I'm working from home completely since March, and my team is international, so I'm not seeing anybody there. So I'm spending most of my time in my home office, like 10 hours a day, and there's no way for my employer really to, there's not much perks or anything in that case. Like, if they sent me a box of donuts, I think they might win me over. I don't want to put anyone on notice here, but I'll might send this clip to the guys. So I really
Well,
see
HubSpot are a client, aren't they, Lisa?
Yeah, they are, because myself and Mark were chatting earlier. HubSpot, I've been up there many a times dropping
Really?
off donuts. Yeah, so I know it's all changed now, but you'll have to put in a good word, Luke.
Maybe you're not working hard enough, Luke.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm getting cut out of the loop here. No, but like, so HubSpot are generally like incredible to staff. So we're very lucky in that way. And like they're helping out with if you need like office equipment at home or anything that you need, that they're really there to help. But I just need to, instead of like an extra screen, I'm going to ask for more donuts. We'll see what happens. So. So what's the future of the business here? Are you taking some time to think about what's the next big step?
Yeah, like I suppose my dream was always to be able to do exactly what I'm doing now and just take off and come away whenever I wanted. That was always my dream, to have maybe 6 months in Ireland for the warm months and then 6 months away. So it's kind of just happened by accident now with COVID. But I was obviously in the process of kind of trying to get over to the UK. I was talking to some people over there about getting kiosks open over there, but that's all come to a head now. And I am actively looking for more Wildflower Cafe locations, kind of all around Dublin. So it's doing really well down there. We put a beautiful kind of terrace with a flower wall, one of these beautiful Instagrammable friendly kind of walls, and it's just a really nice place to go and relax and have brunch. So I said I'd love to get more of them in Dublin. So that's kind of the plan.
Tell us a bit more about the theme of the cafe. Where did the inspiration come from? That was in Australia, was it? Or
yeah, it was. Like, I remember again clearing out my home to kind of move out, and I found like loads of brunch menus and that I'd taken home from Australia, just to kind of inspire me and give me ideas. So definitely, like, even I did a maple bacon donut, and everybody was like people loved it or hated it, but that was totally from pancakes with maple syrup and bacon from Australia that I used to be obsessed with when I ate meat. I don't anymore. But yeah, just that's kind of an opportunity came up in Rathout Garden Centre through kind of a friend of the family, and they were just looking for somebody to do like a small little kind of cafe. But when we saw the space, we said, wow, like we should really, make something bigger of this. So we put a fully fitted kitchen, all done on credit cards, like didn't have a penny to put into it. But I think that's kind of why Angel Street I kind of let go, because we put so much into this. It just could not work. It would have completely made my dad bankrupt. Like, so I just had to make that work. So yeah, I've rebranded since, and I've renovated the whole place since we opened 7 years ago, and it's just, I'm much happier with the kind of brand now. I've made from Good as Gold. She's an amazing graphic designer, and she just kind of, it's a lovely pattern, kind of wildflower. It really suits where it is. So
what are the key things that go into like like having a cafe worth putting that amount of money into? Is it location? You're looking at footfall, price, obviously rent and stuff like that. What are the kind of key things that when you're looking for next ones that you'd be looking at?
Yeah,
for a
all of
successful
those
cafe?
things. A huge thing as well is parking. We are very lucky because, see, the garden centre is different. Well, it's unique in that like people are going there to buy flowers, so it's a great little kind of destination. But it is in the middle of nowhere, so it's kind of between. It's just on a really country road between Ashburn and Rathout. So it took a long time to plug and get people to know that we're there, because we kind of opened. In winter, people don't really go into the garden centre as much, so it just was a lot of time, kind of word of mouth. But definitely, if I was to look now, my number one thing would probably be, is there parking at the cafe? You know, if you're going to kind of go out to the suburbs, and obviously rent, but I think there could be a lot of haggling going on at the moment now at rents, because I think landlords will be delighted to have people taking places.
Outdoor space, I imagine, is going to be very important.
This is it. Like at the moment, it's kind of half closed, the cafes, so that's heartbreaking for me, but we'll get back open hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
But yeah, outdoor space, definitely.
And was there a big difference, like jumping into like a cafe, a fully formed cafe, as opposed to just doing the kind of one product, or is it all the same principles involved?
I say that Wildflower, one cafe was single-handedly harder to set up and make work than like 8 of my down shops plus bakery.
Really?
It's just, I feel like everything.
You mentioned that that's the plan to expand that. Do you want more of that? More of that headache?
I think once it's set up and mastered, which like it's taken since 2012, that's a long time, because I didn't know anything about how to run a cafe and cafe restaurant kind of place. So I just, everything from kitting it out, like I did everything wrong the first time, absolutely everything. That's why I ripped it out and started again, because you learn from working there. Like obviously you need systems, and you know, everything has to have its right place and workflow and everything. I didn't really have anyone to teach me all that stuff, so I just had to learn the hard way. Like I'm sure, like most business people, when they think like you can do it, and then you just have to make all the mistakes.
So now you have a playbook for the next time. You'll know
exactly
so much better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. And it's that kind of, it almost fits into that vision that you have of, you know, things slow down a little bit and in wintertime maybe, and you know, you take 6 months to be in wherever, you know.
Exactly.
I've had a similar kind of dream as well. I think I'd be up until like December, you know, January, February, I have no interest. Do you know, like there's nothing going on there. And one of my friends, his sister has a beautician's business in a small town, and she actually takes January off completely and goes off every year. Like she closed the whole thing down, you know. And it's great to have that flexibility to do that, you know. So
absolutely.
It's real
it's
lifestyle.
the best time to get away in January for sure.
Yeah, and it's more about, I think it's like a lot of people are, you know, not. It's kind of like because everyone's not enjoying it, that makes it even worse. Mark, I think we talked about this before, where you know, if other people are complaining, it makes you think, oh yeah, actually this is shite. Like, you know, like you don't, if you're around the positive people, it doesn't seem as bad. But
is there a group of people that like similar to yourself, Lisa, in similar businesses? Would you get together and have a chat and kind of bounce ideas off each other?
Big time. Like I feel really, really lucky. When I moved into Bachelor's Walk, one of the girls is here with me now. Amy, she's an incredible business person, and I've another friend, Rachel. So Rachel owns Pogue, which is a couple of doors up from me on Bachelor's Walk. And Amy had owned Sweet Republic, and her family business owned Deco Bake down the road. So it just happened to meet two girls, kind of similar age, just really similar kind of food, sweet kind of businesses. So they've been amazing. Yeah, we just bash ideas and things off each other all the time. So yeah, and then you just meet other people in cafes around town. It's great.
It's been amazing because we've talked a lot. So this is episode probably gonna be like 45 or something like that. You'd be so surprised at how many times we mention another person that's on the podcast, and a lot of people know each other. Any kind of business owners in Dublin. It's not maybe it's not a huge community, so people seem to come across each other quite a lot, you know, which is really cool. Okay, so what's the kind of where would be the best place to go with the cafe? Is it going to be in suburbs again, or is it going to be? Are you going to try to move into Dublin city centre when the blood's on the streets, as it were?
No, definitely not city centre. I would love to think suburbs, but I think there's probably a lot of people jumping on that right now because, you know, no one's really going to the pub anymore. It's kind of like cafes are now the outlet for people, and I think that's why we've been so particularly busy in the cafe at the minute. A lot of people who would have commuted to Dublin are now in Ashburn or Rathout, and you know, they just want to have a nice lunch or meet their friends. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd say it would be very competitive though. So
okay,
we'll see.
I think there's kind of a cultural switch as well going on in Ireland, because I at times do prefer going for, say, brunch, or going to meet friends for coffee in the afternoon, and not have to go into a pub and be there for 6 hours, and then
Yeah.
whatever, start to make worse and worse decisions progressively as the evening goes on. So it's nice just to go and get some pancakes and bacon and call it a day. So I think a lot of people will be in that boat as well. Mark, what do you think about a donut, a rolling donut around kind of the Dunleary area? That'd be a go, I think.
Well, that's where you're from, Lisa, this area. So I was wondering why not? Why isn't it here already?
Yeah, it's true. I should. I don't know. Dunleary's a funny one. It's kind of the main street is, as you know, like, there's kind of a graveyard of businesses the whole way down the street. But then there's a lot.
I think
of
down on the seafront, where like Rockets and It's a Bagel and stuff down there.
Yeah, that's a great little spot. It is.
And it seems to be a separate little ecosystem down there.
Definitely.
So we're all from kind of the Dunleary area then. Does anybody think that it's maybe the worst managed town? And like the main street, when I was a child, I remember I was like 8 or something, and it was absolutely packed down there every Saturday, loads of businesses. But now, like I said, graveyard is probably the best way to describe it. And then sometimes nice businesses open and then they're not there for very long. Like maybe a restaurant pops up or something like that. We almost.
Did you ever seriously consider it, Lisa?
No, I didn't actually. I just know it won't work. And usually when I go in with that feeling, it doesn't. I feel like there's just certain things that it just doesn't have the kind of footfall that we need. Now we have done a pop-up during lockdown with Eagle House. The guys there contacted us, and there's a cool, they kind of painted it like seaside, the Eagle House pub, they painted like seaside kind of colours, and guys from Cocoa Brew were there, and then we delivered boxes in every day. Well, not every day, sorry, 4 days a week. And Mad Yolks, sorry, blunder. Mad Yolks were there as well. So yeah, it was great. We're still there. Our presence is in the area.
And what about in like the parks and stuff? Did you ever do that? It's big out in town as well. On the lunch hours, like to have like a stall there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started before Angel Street. I did do those lunchtime markets. Again, just too much work for very short amount of time. Unless you're selling hot food, you're not going to get the return on the hours you put in. I'd have to sell a lot of donuts versus the falafel guy who can sell 10 and he's already made 100 quid. It's just good if I sell a lot of donuts at the lunchtime markets.
And the paella guys made a lot of money off me,
Yeah,
Dunleary in the Sunday market. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So it seems like it's you're at an interesting spot right now. Once things get back rolling, I talked to somebody today whose brother is a virologist. So I don't know if this is true or not. This is third-hand information, but he reckons that these pandemics usually last about 18 months. So we're not looking at June for everything to be absolutely back to normal.
Okay,
so,
well, I can definitely handle that. Already 8 months of our life is gone, and it was unimaginable 8 months ago, and here we all are now. So
exactly, we can do this. So at this stage of our conversations, we usually go into the lightning round. This is Mark's kind of party piece, all right? So
you look scared, Lisa.
I am a bit scared.
So these questions, they don't have to be like rapid answers. We ask kind of a mix of these questions to everyone that comes on, and we've kind of really teased out really interesting kind of takes on things and some comparisons and stuff like that. So there's no wrong answers. There's no kind of right answers either, to be honest. Mark,
okay.
Here we go.
Nice and simple at the start. What apps do you use the most on your phone?
Oh, Spotify, Instagram, and Headspace. Not Headspace, Insight Timer, sorry.
What's that one?
Like a meditation app. It's unbelievable. It's just like got everything on it. You just search something and there's like a little meditation thing for it. So
okay, so it kind of guides you through it. Is it kind of guided meditation? Yeah, when did you start that?
I started that about 3 years ago. Just things with the business got way too stressful at times. So everybody's like, oh, you should learn how to meditate. But this is just a really good app. It's like, it does everything on it. It's just amazing.
What's it called again?
Insight Timer. I'd recommend it.
Might look at that.
Like it.
I know it's hard as an entrepreneur, you know, with your own business, it is hard to switch off. And that's, I don't know if people ever really do, but unless they're asleep, but that'll help. What's your favorite social media and why?
Instagram, because just for me, it's all about pictures. I just love it, like love it.
And out of interest, do you have much, you know, did you have much say on the marketing and the branding and do you have someone that does that for you, obviously full time?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is like, you know, I would make all those decisions. That's kind of the side of the business that I love the most, just the like designing the donuts with their bakers and you know, deciding all our posts with Erin, our marketing girl, you know, how the pictures look, how we're just everything to how the brand is presented, the colors we use, everything. Yeah.
I think the great thing about donuts is people love taking pictures when they get them.
Yes,
So I'm sure you're tagged in so many pictures when people are so happy to get a box of donuts.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. And that's why even the staff, like they like working there because people are generally happy when they're buying a donut.
I know my two daughters are very happy when we drop in Grafton Street. So what's the best business idea you've never acted upon?
I'd be telling them all now to see I want to pull them out of the bag in the future.
Anything strange or funny even?
Oh God. When I went to India, actually, I had it all designed, created in my head, like just obsessed over it for the whole time I was there. I wanted to bring back a kind of an Indian street food kind of vibe. I did street food tours in Delhi, and they just blew my mind. The food was just so amazing. Like, so I just had it all themed and branded and everything in my head.
And would it have been a shop or like a stall or?
A little takeaway type bar, like just doing kind of street food like bits, like small kind of plates, do you know?
Okay. Do you not think Ireland was ready for it?
No, I just got too busy. This is the problem. I have all these ideas and then just gets kind of stuck in the day to day a lot, you know. So I will eventually act on them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Go back to normal.
If you could do business anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, anywhere but Dublin. No, I'm joking. No, I love Dublin. It's just the weather. I would say, oh God, it's a tricky one because you see donuts and heat don't work, and I love the heat. I'm gonna say.
I
never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say somewhere like probably Spain. I love Spain.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. What's the donut market like over there?
It's actually quite good. I've been out on a couple of research trips there, and yeah, there's some people doing some really cool stuff in Barcelona that I love. I'd love to get a place in Barcelona. I really would.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to go on a donut research trip one day.
To Barcelona, it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. I love it.
Okay, how much money is enough money?
Oh, that's a tricky one. How much money is enough money? I suppose just there's no kind of value on it. I wouldn't say an actual value. I just think I don't think the more you have, the happier you are. It's just things become a bit easier. So I think just once you have all the bare essentials, I think we all know that even just COVID has kind of taught us all that. I think, you know, once you just have a roof over your head and the bare essentials.
100%.
That's the important thing.
A lot of people, that's a common, a recurring theme.
Yeah.
As an answer.
A lot of people say that. And yeah, most people say it's kind of like as long as you got your bases covered. But I think we might even add having the ability to spend time where you want. I think that's kind of like, so you mentioned 6 months away. You know, you have to have some sort of base to be able to be in a position to do that. And I think that's probably a lot lower than people think, which is always interesting. Yeah.
I suppose the source or method that money gets to you is important as well. You know, you could be the richest person in the world, but you're such a slave to this role and you have to be stuck in an office, you know, in rainy Dublin all day, every day.
No,
I bet you somebody on a donut research trip in Barcelona is a lot happier.
for sure.
No, I think definitely for me, it's not about the money, it's about my freedom and just feeling like, just jumping out of bed every day to create a new donut flavor or whatever it is, or putting a new item on the menu, or just, I'm just really happy doing what I do. So I actually feel guilty. Like I bought myself a pair of designer sunglasses in the airport and I felt really guilty spending that much. But like, so it just, it just goes to show there's no value on those kind of things for me. I'd much rather put it into, I don't know, something just put it back into business or do something for the staff or something like that, because obviously it makes you feel a lot better than just buying stuff. Like
Yeah, you can't feel guilty of it. Sometimes it's just nice to buy shit, though, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
What is it? Who said that again? Can't remember.
It's in a really obscure Ben Affleck movie.
Oh, Ben Affleck.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Surviving Christmas.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Is it who you know or what you know?
God, say 50-50 split.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I do actually think that.
That's probably the right answer. I don't know. Like, depend on what industry you're in. Probably depend on where you live. Depend on who it is that you know. If you know Jeff Bezos, that's gonna
true.
be.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. So we've never really answered that ourselves, Mark. But it depends on what type of industry you're in, I think, as well. What do you think? Like, if you're,
I think in Dublin, in I don't want to say I'm where I am because of who I know, but in Dublin, in certain industries, definitely who you know is there's a network, a strong network there that you can actually do really well from. And we're looking that way. It's such a small place, but such a strong network where you can actually make millions, and everybody knows everybody. Whereas if you went to America and you know nobody, it's going to be a lot harder. So again, Dublin's probably more who you know. If I would say 60-40 maybe.
possibly.
But I haven't thought that much about it. Okay. If you could advise somebody to learn one skill, what would it be?
It doesn't depend. Is it industry dependent or just?
No.
Oh yeah, anything. These are very open questions.
We haven't thought this through, Alita. So
It's not making donuts, probably. Although,
I just think for me, it's how to work hard and not be precious and be a princess about things. I think that's like for me personally. I think even just like friends of family or cousins or anyone who's kind of noticed they're kind of gravitating towards me now, and in terms of getting their kids kind of part-time jobs or just anything, and I really think that work kind of guided me definitely. So I think just hard work.
Perfect. And there's one more question that we ask everybody. All right, it's pretty tough one, right? So this is something maybe you think about before you answer, but would you, okay, think about this, prefer a t-shirt that looks like the one that Mark is wearing, SharkPod t-shirt, or a SharkPod mug?
Oh, I don't have to think about that. I know straight away.
Okay, what are you thinking?
The mug, because I'm a tea addict.
Perfect. And we've got our new mug supplier, Mark, has organized as well, so that will be on its way to you. We'd like to thank you so much for coming and join us on your holidays of all times as well. So we appreciate it so much. We can't wait to see what you're going to do next at the Rolling Donut. We thank you for your delicious donuts that we've had in the past. We're both happy customers, and wish you all the best in the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Lisa. Cheers.
Pleasure. See you later, guys. Bye.
Oh, she's gone.